yogis and yoginis. Nick here again. So I want to go over forward hero and the difference between forward hero and child's pose. And there's a lot of, you'll hear both. You'll hear this posture called both. But there is a difference between child's pose and forward hero. And when I show you forward hero, you might hear some teachers actually call this wide-legged child's pose as well. So I'm going to show you both, and that will hopefully clear this up, this forward hero child's pose. So in forward hero, you want to have a seat on your feet as much as possible. And if this is challenging for you, then you could put a blanket or a block underneath your bum, or you can put something underneath your head when we come forward. So you're having a seat towards your feet. You're bringing your, I would say, mat width apart. And this is the difference between, one of the main differences between forward hero and child's pose is this. So the toes are still together, it's just the knees that come out. Then you're going to walk yourself forward, and you're going to bring your forehead to the floor. If you can't bring your forehead to the floor and keep your bum on your feet, then you can take a block and put it gently underneath the forehead so that you can still root your tailbone down. So, stretching out the arms and bringing the forehead down towards the floor. And instead of just hanging here and relaxing, which is a nice way to practice it as well, but the more active version is to actually really stretch your arms out. And you want to sort of claw your fingertips into the mat, so that the arms are like they're in traction as you bring the head down. And so I'll show you kind of the difference between an active forward hero and a relaxed forward hero. So in an active forward hero, you can stretch the arms out, claw the fingertips in, the arms will stay lifted as you bring your forehead down. Just enjoying that stretch through the shoulders and through the upper back. And if you were doing forward hero in a more relaxed mode, you'd bring the forehead down and let the arms completely rest on the floor. And then walking yourself back up. So forward hero, great posture to do anytime you're feeling overwhelmed emotionally or physically. And that's kind of the universal mercy signal to a yoga instructor if you're ever in a class and you're finding that it's just too much for you energetically or physically or mentally or emotionally that day. Then coming into that pose will give you a little rest. And when you're in forward hero, you really want to try to breathe into your back body. So most of us forget that we have ribs on the back of us, and underneath those ribs are lungs. And so really thinking about spreading the back ribs. So I'm going to show you child's pose and forward hero also from the side so that you can see the angle of my back. So first forward hero, I'll show you the active and the relaxed version. So having a seat towards your feet, bringing the knees as wide apart as your mat, stretching yourself out, reaching the arms really long, keeping the sitting bones rooting down, clawing your fingers into the earth, bringing the head down. Notice that my arms are actually lifted off of the mat here in the active version of forward hero. If you couldn't reach your head to the floor, again, you can take your yoga block and bring that underneath the head, under the forehead. In relaxed forward hero, same thing, except this time you just let the arms come down to the earth and bring your head down. Again, either to the floor or to a block if you can't reach the floor. So in child's pose, you actually keep the knees together and you bring the forehead down, and then you start to bring the arms back behind you. So it's sort of more of a tucking and rounding in as opposed to extending and stretching out. And sometimes you'll hear yoga teachers call what I just did child's pose, and that's the difference between different styles of yoga, is that some styles of yoga, I guess, have never heard of forward hero, so they call anything in this sort of position child's pose. So I'll show you classical child's pose as well. So you would be sitting on your feet, or again, you could put a blanket underneath your bum if this is really uncomfortable for you. And you're going to have your knees together this time, and you bring yourself forward and bring your forehead either to the floor, or again, if you can reach the floor, taking the block. And then bringing the arms behind you. And letting the upper back round and the chest sort of soften and dry. And some teachers will tell you you can put your fingers just underneath your feet here, child's pose like this. In child's pose, from the side, again, you're going to have a seat on your feet. You're keeping the knees together this time, and you're bringing yourself forward, bringing your head down to the floor. You can tuck your hands underneath your feet, and you're letting your shoulders and your upper back here just round and soften forward. So if you have trouble bringing your forehead to the earth with the bum down, and again, you can take a block, bring it under the head, and take child's pose this way. So both forward hero and child's pose are really good ways to just relax the body energetically. I find that most people are more comfortable in forward hero with the legs wider apart. Just because of proportions and tightness, sometimes having the abdomen onto the legs can feel uncomfortable, or like you're straining to fill your lungs. So experiment with those, and again, a good way to just take a time out anytime that you need a break, whether it be physically or emotionally. Thank you. Namaste.